Hey everybody, Jason Blaha here, and let's do part 4 of this Q&A. First question. I work in a beverage warehouse where I am constantly moving and lifting. Does manual labor slow recovery time? Initially, manual labor does slow recovery time. However, once you've adapted to training and doing the amount of manual labor that you do, as long as your nutrition and your sleep are sufficient, then it will not impede your recovery because your work capacity will have adapted to it. And there have been many successful both powerlifters, other strength athletes, and bodybuilders who have had manual labor jobs while they did so. In fact, even old school guys like Arnold and Franco Columbu, when they first came over to the US, were doing bricklaying work, which is pretty hard manual labor. And they were actually professional bricklayers in order to make a living, in order to support their bodybuilding until they were making enough money on the bodybuilding to live off of it. And it didn't stop them from becoming champions. And I've seen many other guys who have manual labor jobs who very successfully compete in strength sports or bodybuilding. So once you've adapted to it, it's perfectly fine. Next question. Please explain the relationship between smoking and the supposed increased metabolism. As far as I can tell, metabolism changes from smoking are complete bullshit. And if anything, the reduced capacity for oxygen uptake is going to hurt your ability to burn extra calories through cardio. So no, there's no metabolic benefit. The reason there seems to be weight loss and weight gain associated with going back to smoking and quitting smoking and things like that is because, going back to some early psychology, Freudian type stuff, people who smoke develop, either have already or develop some sort of oral fixation to where they always have to have something in their mouth. And if they're not getting their cigarette all the time, that they're used to smoking several cigarettes a day, they're going to snack on other foods in place of it just to get that same feeling that they want, that same oral gratification. And so they will eat more food and more total calories without thinking about it as a result of it, just because of the extra snacking. So that's why there seems to be this weight change based upon people who are smoking and quit smoking, and then they start smoking again, and back and forth of those fluctuations in weight. It's based mainly upon their need to keep putting something in their mouth. So hopefully that clarifies that. All right, last question. I don't even need the computer for this one. Is it true that locking out is bad for the joints? For 99% of the population, not just no, but hell no. Now, there are people who have joints that overextend beyond the normal range. And for those people who are a rare minority, your doctor can diagnose it easy enough if you think you're one. Locking out can be a problem because they're not just locking out, they're extending beyond what we would call a lockout because their joints have more mobility than they're supposed to have. It's not normal. And so for those people, it can put stress on ligaments and connective tissue, and it can be a problem. But for everyone else, using correct form and working heavy loads through the entire range of motion is actually better for your joint health than doing partial reps to where you're skipping the lockout. It will actually help strengthen your joints and help with joint mobility over time. So it's actually beneficial as long as you're not using weights that are excessively heavy for it and you're not using poor technique to where you're injuring yourself. But yeah, doing full range of motion is generally better for joint health than doing partials to where you're skipping lockouts. All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on it today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you next time. But let me give you guys your bicep shot first.